Hi, I'm a forester here. I thought I'd do a video about Indian artifact collecting. This is a hobby that we did as a family for years. We had a lot of fun doing it. But what I'm going to do is pick out 3 of these points and then give a little more detail about where they were found and a little bit more about the points. Okay, let's go into the drawer and see what we can find. Alright, we have a lot to choose from. I haven't counted the arrowheads in this collection, but I have a whole nother cigar box of other points that aren't displayed. But I'm going to select my very favorite arrowhead that I found, and that's this one right up here. That came from the low country of South Carolina. I'll set it aside. Now, white quartz is a common material in the Piedmont of the Carolinas. So let's take one of these, and I'll select that one right there. We'll look at it in more detail, and I'll show where it came from. Now, on this side over here are points that were found by my dad in Pennsylvania. So let's just take one of these, like this one right here, and look at that one. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, we'll start with my favorite arrowhead. It's rare that I ever found one that was this perfect. It's a fairly large point. There's my finger for comparison. And it's made out of a white chert material. I'm not an expert at identifying arrowheads, but I know some online resources. One is overstreetid.com. And let me show you what I think that arrowhead is. Here's the Overstreet page for one I think is called Thebes. Now this point could be anywhere from 3,000 to 10,000 years old. It's pretty widely distributed, and the identifying features are that it's corner notched. It's a large point with a wide blade. The notches are side notches, and they're deeply angled, and the sides are parallel. The base is pretty wide. Now this white chert material is fairly common in the low country. There was actually a quarry, and here's a map of the quarry. It was called Red Bluff Flint Quarries. It was down in the low country in Allendale County, South Carolina. And the point where I found this arrowhead was right about in here in Hampton County. Let me show you where I actually found it. I'll get out of this and I'll go to Google Earth, and it should open to the site. I see a lot of rain in the area. It's not raining right here now. Okay, I'll zoom in a little bit. And right here, this is the track where I found it, and as best I can remember, this is the actual location. I was working on a track here that was being harvested. The log deck where the logs were being brought was right up in here, and there was a major skid trail that crossed this swamp to get to this other side. And I was walking down across this skid trail to see how they crossed the swamp. And the arrowhead, I looked down, and there was the arrowhead sitting on a pedestal of soil. It had eroded, the soil had eroded all around it, but it protected the soil right under it, and it looked like it had been mounted. It was a beautiful find that day. Now let me pull back out so that you can get an idea where it is. This is the little town of Gifford. I'll pull way back. There's the Savannah River, and up here is where that bluff, where the quarry was in Allendale County, so it really wasn't that far from Savannah River. Alright, let's go to the next arrowhead. Okay, here's the second arrowhead, and this one I believe is a Port Maitland. Not positive about that, but I'll show you a picture of one. You can tell how much smaller it is, just a little bit bigger than my fingernail. It's made out of clear quartz, which is a common type of material in the Piedmont of South Carolina. It's not totally clear. Okay, here's overstreet.com. And that's what I think it is. Port Maitland. It's roughly 1,000 to 3,000 years before present, and it's located in the eastern states. One of the key characteristics of this one is that it's a very small point, and it has side notches. If you remember, the other one was corner notched. This is side notched, and it has a concave base. Now the one in the picture here isn't too concave, but mine is. See, the base there is concave. All right, let's go back to, can't focus on two things at one time here. Let's go back to Google Earth and see where this one was found. Still raining. In fact, it looks dark outside here. I'm going to zoom back out. Okay, that's I-77 right here between Columbia and Charlotte. And it was found right about here. If you see a little white ribbon that goes through the green, that's a little woods road. And I had been working on this tract of timber during the day, and I saw all kinds of sign for arrowheads while I was out there. So I asked if I could come back and bring my family that evening. My daughter was, she was pretty young, probably elementary school, maybe something like 3rd or 4th grade. And she really enjoyed going out with me and looking for arrowheads. So my wife, daughter, and I went out. We walked that road and looked around the deck, and we found several, 4 or 5, and this was one of them. It really made her day. All right, here's the last point in this show and tell. This one's very different from the other ones. There's a size comparison. It's a large point, similar to the first one in size, but very different in color, shape, and location where it was found. This was found in a different region of the country, not in South Carolina and not even in the southeast. Now I think this one is a Duncans Island. Take a good look at this and compare it to this one. Different color, but same shape. Duncans Island is a fairly old point, 3,000 to 10,000 years before present, common in the northeastern states, and that's where this one was found. And it's a stemmed point with a square base and square shoulders. Fairly large point. Okay, let me show you where it was found. We'll go back to Google Earth. Okay, and here it comes. It's actually started raining down here since I started making this video. But there's the farm where it was located. Now I don't know the exact location of this point where it was found on the farm, but this was one of 2 farms where my dad worked growing up. He probably spent his first 30 years on this farm. This was his home place right here. Okay, here's a picture of the farm in Pennsylvania where my dad was raised. He was one of 9 boys that worked this farm. Actually, they had a couple of farms that my granddad had put together. Here's a picture of my granddad. I don't know if the glare will let you see that or not. And here's a picture of his wife, my grandmother. She doesn't look like she belonged on that farm. The main house that they lived in is the taller structure right in the center of the picture. Then this smaller white building to the side was a spring house. It was very unique. It had a spring that ran through a trough in the basement of that house, and they could go there. It was like natural air conditioning when it was hot. Of course, this large barn here was the cattle barn. They were primarily ran a dairy. The cattle would come up this road and into the barn at the same time every day. I have a personal recollection with that building, the white structure to the right. That was the 3-story chicken house. I also ran a chicken operation and had a grading facility. But one summer, all the men got together to put a roof on that chicken house. I was told to stay on the ground with the women, and I was determined not. And so I climbed up a homemade ladder, fell off when I was stepping off the ladder onto the roof of the barn. Landed on my head, broke my shoulder, cracked my head. And when I came to, nobody knew that I had fallen, evidently. I made my way into the house, into that bedroom on the upper floor, farthest right window, and went to bed. I knew I was in trouble, and at lunchtime when one of the men came from the field who had been working, one of my uncles, he asked where I was and how I was doing. He had seen me fall off the barn, figured that somebody would help me out. So that's when they put out an all-point bulletin searching for me, found me in the bedroom, and took me into the hospital. Let me zoom out a little bit and show you roughly where this is. Okay, there's the Susquehanna River. It's near a town of Dalmatia. And Harrisburg is somewhere down here. I think that's Harrisburg right there. But there's 3 points out of my collection. If y'all are interested, I'll show 3 more later. Y'all take care. Bye.